So one thing that gets discussed a lot on prepper groups is what happens if SHTF happens and you've prepared but other people haven't. And if other people know that you've prepared for a disaster, that you're going to be sorted, are they going to come knocking on your door? And I think that that is something that a lot of preppers are concerned and are thinking about. I've had friends talking to me about how we can, defend gardens and things like that if all these food shortages keep happening, and it's something that a lot of people are aware of. So I kind of think that it would boil down to, or need to boil down to, some sort of a trade. And I think that the six things that would be the ones to be traded would be obviously supplies, so food, water, kit. Then you've got land. Do you have somewhere that people can come to live on, that people can be safe? That could also be, do you have a house? Do you have a property? Do you have a bunker? Something like that. So yeah. And then work is definitely a very, very tradable skill, especially if SHTF happens and people have to start growing their own food. I mean, where I am, my life, if SHTF happened and people turned up wanting to exchange work on the land for the safety and security in numbers and share of provisions, then I'd be like, yeah, man, definitely come join us. So it depends what you've got. So yeah, we've got land, work, shelter. Again, that's an important one. If you don't have any shelter, but you've got supplies, then you might be happy to trade with people for that. And then security, again, if someone's like, I mean, yeah, if someone's a very good shot and you've got zombies on the prowl, then security is definitely something that is going to be a tradable skill. And skills in themselves. I mean, if you're living in kind of an SHTF situation and you've ended up off the grid, or and you've not had fresh bread for 5 years, then you might be very, very willing to get someone in who can come and mill their own corn and make you a fresh loaf of bread. So skills, again, skills are very, very highly tradable. There are so many things that people have forgotten how to do nowadays, and getting back to the basics is a really, really important thing to do as a prepper, I think. So, I mean, going back to the point, so when you are in a situation where you may have people knocking on your door, instead of turning them away, maybe the smart thing to do would be to say, right, what can you bring to the table, guys? You look at all the old Norse legends and all the old Norse myths, and you've got Odin and all the gods turning up unannounced in people's halls as strangers, and they've had to meet the gods, and that's been amazing. And in the Bible, in Hebrews, there's the wonderful, wonderful quote that talks about, if you entertain strangers, you might entertain angels. So a lot of people throughout history have said that you should accept people in and offer hospitality. I mean, I think as preppers, there's obviously going to be lines to that, and it's like, if anyone turns up where I live and they're a dick, then they're going to get booted. That's just my personal rule. It's people having a similar standard that is important. But a lot of people can bring very, very different things to the table, and I don't think that we should be getting into the mindset of having to defend things. I think if SHTF happens, and maybe this is me being a bit idealistic, but I think if that happens, then we're going to have to look at what sort of future that we're going to create. What sort of world do we want to build? Do we want some like horrible kind of like, Mad Max kind of Civil War dystopias going on? Or do we want it to be a bit more like peace and love, and everyone making their own vegetable soup? It's definitely a thing to think about, especially with all the conflict that's going on in the world at the moment. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. It's yeah, tell me what you think in the comments, because I would love to hear, and I'm hoping this is going to spark a bit of debate, because I often get called out for being very naive on this. But again, life experience, it's good to have communities built. when you look at the start of humanity, archaeological anthropologists have now decided that the pinpoint of the start of humanity is when we're starting to see healing breaks in bones. So we're getting archaeological remains with bones healing, and they're like, yeah, this is the start of humanity because people are caring for the sick. These people aren't just dying. These creatures and these animals that they're caring for, like farm animals and livestock, they're the ones that are being looked after. So I think that that is quite a beautiful thing to say, that care and compassion is the start of humanity. And if SHTF does happen, I don't think that we should lose that. Obviously, defend yourselves. If people are turning up waving guns and don't want to trade for their security presence or whatever, it's one thing. But I think that building a good world after something happens should be the focus on this. And if you turn people away, then that's never going to happen. So yeah, peace and love.